Hi everyone. So let me go back a little bit. So 10 years ago, I was actually sitting in your spot in marketing class, learning about the 4Ps, customer segmentation, all that kind of stuff, because I was studying for a finance degree. So for me, like my first job out of university was working like directly on Wall Street. So I went to college in the US. So my first job was like doing Asian equities, covering basically like the very large institutional clients, like buying companies. So when like AIA went public, we took them public. So I think it was very interesting because when you study like finance in a classroom environment, you're like doing accounting, financial statement analysis. But when you see that people have to put like $1 billion down to buy or not to buy this IPO, you really kind of like see it in action. So that was quite cool. So I did that for a couple of years. And then when I moved back to Asia, I sort of have like this weird like career path where I wanted to like just try something completely different. So I like became a travel writer for a while, and then Waiki was talking about my travel startup. So having worked for like a very big company like Goldman, like there are standard operating procedures, there's like a way to do things, there are rules. So I wanted to do the exact opposite, right? So to start from like a very small company, kind of build it from scratch. So I joined this, I found that like the founder of Voyagin, which is sort of like the predecessor to Airbnb experiences. If you guys have used Airbnb, so basically they've moved from like accommodation into activities. So that was what I was doing basically. Like when I joined, I was the first person outside of the Japanese team. So like employee number 4. So like, basically starting from scratch, like how do you build a business? How do you find your customers? How do you go beyond the Japanese market, right? So Japan's kind of interesting because if you're a tourist going to Tokyo, if you do not speak Japanese, it's quite difficult to have very authentic experiences, like go and like watch the sumo wrestlers train and like go eat sushi at like really like hidden spots. So how do we translate that from, the Japan experience into the rest of Asia? So at one point, I was like living in Bali, trying to help people sort of connect to locals. That was the whole idea. So rather than getting on like a big bus tour, like seeing all the sites, check, why not like spend a day with a Balinese family, like preparing for the ceremony, right? So I was doing that for a couple of years, and then we got acquired by Rakuten, which is, if any of you guys know, like Japan's largest like e-commerce company. And after we got acquired, I was like, okay, so I've gone like big business, small business. If I don't try my own now, I may never ever do it, right? So I don't know if I told you this, Waiki, but I actually tried to start a dating app for a while. So that was interesting because I was like, okay, what is like a problem that everybody has that is like really influential in their life, right? So I was like, okay, finding like your wife, your husband is super important, right? So the idea was to have like a voice-based dating app to like allow people to connect more, because I interviewed tons and tons of people and their problem was like, I'm on Tinder and he says hi and I say hi, but like we cannot get beyond that. So that was like super interesting. But I realized it was a problem. Everybody recognized the problem. Guys recognize the problem. Women recognize the problem. But unfortunately, it's not a problem they want to pay for, right? So that was kind of like an interesting learning experience. And I was talking to an investor and he was like, well, if that's not something they want to pay for, like what's a problem that people do want to pay for? So that was a big learning lesson. And in a way that was sort of what led me down the path towards jewelry, right? Because when you start dating someone, you're like, great, I'm going to use all these free apps. And then at some point, you get serious. At some point, you need to like ask the girl to marry you. And that's actually a problem that men have. Right, because I've been like sort of, my mom's really into diamonds, like I've been around it my whole life. But I realized a lot of guys my age, like they're like, oh my God, she wants something, but I don't know what she wants. And the girl's like, I can't tell him. So the guy has to like figure out. So I realized, okay, this is something that people need, right? Guys actually do need help. And it's sort of, there's an interesting like dilemma around like, what do I get her? I'm a guy, this is the only thing I have to buy for a woman, and it's like the most expensive thing I will ever buy. So that's sort of why I thought about engagement rings specifically, right? Because jewelry is like a very huge market. There are lots of different segments. But specifically with engagement rings, these are things, I know people are sort of talking about how maybe diamonds are passé, and that we can get into that discussion. But the vast majority of people still want, I think girls in the room, I don't know how many of you guys would want a diamond ring, but a lot of women still do. So that's sort of how I started getting into engagement rings. And so I started that venture last year. And I think one of the interesting things I realized as I was talking to people, so I started out thinking, okay, something that people need is like diamonds, and they need diamond engagement rings. But organically, somehow I started getting a lot of women who are like working women, they different age groups, but they ended up becoming sort of very big customers of mine. So we can talk a little bit about that, like how I went from engagement rings, and I'm still doing engagement rings, but I did see sort of a trend of like independent women buying their own jewelry, because basically women are telling me like, I don't need to wait for a guy to buy me what I want, because I make maybe even more money than my partner. So that's sort of why I'm also currently looking at starting a more like woman-focused jewelry brand. My private customers tend to spend like, I think the most popular thing I sell is like for the custom business, like diamond studs for women, and that's sort of like $20,000 to $30,000 a pair. So I realized there's sort of a segment of people who don't want to spend $20,000. So if you've been working for like 5 years, maybe you're okay spending $1,000 on something nice that you can wear every day. So that's what my new brand, August, is based on. Okay. So that's sort of like the whole journey.
No, that's a good like introduction, right? Where if you think first about the first venture on engagement rings itself, I imagine like when you first start out, like you would look at the competitive landscape and see, you know, there are a lot of players doing different things, right? Some online only, some brand has been the heritage of the brand has been around for a long time. Like how would you have differentiated or thought about differentiating yourself against what's already out in the market?
So when I talk to a lot of guys, like I say, okay, where would you think about buying an engagement ring? If money is not an option, they always tell me like Tiffany's is pretty much the only answer that I get. So obviously they do a really good job with marketing. But a 1 carat ring at Tiffany's costs like, I go into different stores around the world, they tell me like 28,000, like something crazy like that. So I think one huge differentiating factor between like my bespoke business and them is obviously like price. Because I can get you like a better diamond and honestly not, okay, yeah. So Tiffany's will tell you that this is a Tiffany diamond. It's only graded by their laboratory. So they don't grade their diamonds with like the Gemological Institute of America, where a lot of other people do it. So of course you can claim whatever you want, right? So they can stamp the Tiffany stamp and like tell you it's 28,000, but if I can get you the same diamond for like 12, and it looks sort of, the cutting might even be better, then I think a lot of people are quite interested, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can buy, if you want a Tiffany box, people sell like secondhand Tiffany boxes, but no, but that's besides the point, right? The point is that you I don't know, I think if you're, 5, 8 years into working, you may not have 30,000 to just throw away, so.
And I think it was this group, right, who talked about the 4 Cs earlier. Yeah, so I think the GIA report was
the GIA,
in the, like the 4 Cs are actually stamped on the GIA, right?
Yeah.
And just for your interest, we had a expedition on ring hunting a couple of last week, and brand didn't come up strong. Like in fact, only 3 inputs had brand in there. Simplicity actually came up as.
Is this everyone, guys and girls?
Yeah, guys and girls. I mean, you could differentiate it guys and girls later, but yeah, it's quite interesting where brand didn't.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you asked me a question about like point of differentiation. Obviously, price is one of them. I think the other thing is like the customization aspect of it. Because like I've pretended to be like a regular customer, walk into Tiffany's, say, oh, can you do like this design with this kind of like change the thing for me, like change the diamond shape, for example, and basically they're like, no. I mean, that's the short answer, right? Their job is to like, here's our inventory, please buy what we have on hand. I'm sure at the $1 million mark and above, they can do something bespoke, but to the average person, I think, I can tell that people like the service aspect of it, because I think you guys are going through services and stuff like that. And I've seen like, when guys are about to spend $10,000, you sort of want somebody to like walk you through that process, somebody that you can trust, that you feel like, okay, I'm gonna ask this girl to marry me, like it better be good. So there's that aspect of customization that I think is important. Like people like to engrave like messages and stuff. That's one other big trend in jewelry. But yeah, I mean, when you guys say color, what do you mean by color?
Color.
Of the gem or of the band?
Color of the band sometimes when it talks about like the rose gold.
Oh, rose gold. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Diamond size ranks quite low for you guys, which is interesting. Band design, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's interesting.
Okay. Take a pause here. Any questions for Amanda so far?
So you guys went to look for rings, right?
Online mostly.
Okay. Do I get to hear about that?
Yeah. Well, why don't like?
So guys, like, what was your experience like looking for a ring? Anybody? Positives, negatives. What was difficult?
Let's ask somebody who hasn't shared previously.
Okay, go ahead.
Marked it. Eddie.
Hi, Eddie.
So went to Ion with my friend.
Yeah.
I went nearby there, saw a shop there.
With your girlfriend or with your friend?
Friend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't want this.
It's alright. It's alright.
No, I don't want this assignment to lead you down a path of no return, right?
What?
Okay.
So we were like trying to get the person to walk us through the person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the first question would be what's the budget?
Yeah.
So price
Mm-hmm.
for both the customer as well as the service staff. Like, yeah. Then next they will ask me what's the size of the diamond you want.
Okay.
And the next is the band. The one asking me if I want white gold or platinum.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
the whole process.
So it seems like it's very budget perspective, right? Because
Well, yeah. I mean, did all the other, just show of hands, like guys, was that the first question that you got asked if you walk into did you guys walk into stores? Maybe not. Shops? Online, yeah. Mark, did you go online or walk into shop? Online, yeah. So Eddie, you're actually like one of the rare guys actually who goes and walks in the shop. Oh, you just happen to pass by, okay.
But I would say it's biased.
But you see, because he's not actually he's not actually buying, so it's like for you, you're like, haha, this is funny. but for people who actually have to worry about spending money, I think like I've gotten the feedback that it's a very scary experience, right?
Yeah.
Because basically, like the woman is like, so how much money do you have? Like it's like a judgment on you as a man, like.
Yeah.
So
And I think it came from this group, right, where we think about price. Like there's this benchmark of how many X was that of a certain monthly salary? 3 months salary. Is it something?
where did you guys hear that? Okay.
Is it true?
I think the jewelry industry wants you to think it's true. Like it's 3 times or more, right? I mean, the more that you can spend, the better. But
Okay.
I think maybe millennials are shifting a little bit, right? Because if like 3 times your salary is like too much money for you to spend, and you're thinking about a house and stuff like that, then obviously that's gonna
Fair.
change it. Thank you, Eddie. That's interesting. How did you feel, by the way, throughout the process? If you put yourself in the shoes of some guy like actually trying to buy a ring. Was it enjoyable? Like,
Ask about the budget, I'll feel a bit. I'm trying to save above
what you can afford? Okay.
to show that I'm more.
Yeah. So that's one hurdle as well, right? Because I actually think it's a very tricky thing to ask the guy up front, like, how much money do you want to spend? Because it's actually a very emotional time in their life, right? You want to propose to a girl, like, putting a price tag on it, like, right up front, it's, whoa, like. So I actually think that's not a very good sales tactic, basically. But yeah, that is something that they ask. Anybody else? So on the online guys, right? Like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think it's kind of an interesting cultural thing because, like, in the United States, I feel like they would ask you immediately, like, what are you comfortable spending? And then it would be like a relief.
Yeah.
Oh, like, thank goodness, we know where I'm at.
Ah,
It's
okay.
not this price,
Yeah,
but
it's
it's
not
really
like
like
a shame factor. It's kind of just like, oh yeah, this is what I'm here for.
Oh, wow. Okay. It's very interesting. Because yes,
Yeah.
Andrew.
At least for my experience online, everything
Yeah.
just looked the same.
Okay.
So-
Yep.
Yeah, so to me,
Common.
To me, I actually considered asking, or I did ask my girlfriend what she liked instead.
Yep.
So I didn't have to make the decision of guessing like what you mentioned just now. I guess what she likes. She cannot
Yeah.
tell me, but for me, she told me what she liked. Like,
Did she tell you like where she would want you to buy it?
no, it was more like just looking at options and seeing what stood out for her.
Like
And-
design-wise?
Yeah, design-wise.
Ah, okay.
So, in fact, maybe if none of the designs stood out to her, then we might even consider like
Custom.
customization, for instance.
Okay. So how did you like pick the ones to show her?
Uh,
Were you on a specific website? Like where were you guys
my
looking at
thing
it?
was, at least my choice was simplicity. So,
Okay.
because I know she'd rather spend money on food instead of
Okay. Did
so-
she say that or did you think
She-
that?
she
Okay.
said-
Okay, she said that. Okay.
So because of that, then I know what to prioritize and show her.
So what did you show her? Like give me an
Very
example.
simple rings, like very small.
Very small.
Yeah, yeah.
Very small diamonds?
diamonds
Ah,
and
okay.
normal
Simple bands,
and
okay.
No special features or
Did you get it from a specific website or where did
not
you look?
really. Where it came from didn't really matter. It's more how it looks like.
Okay, so are you on Pinterest? Are you on Google Image? Like
Google Image.
Ah, okay, Google Image. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know this assignment really took you places.
Mark, sorry, yeah.
Ask, do you have any cases of like customer complaint? Because like normally if let's say you buy a phone,
Yeah.
if you don't like it, you replace, you know. But like
Yeah.
wearing ring, then it's like very high value, it's like unique. So how do you all like handle, or is there no cases?
I haven't personally had cases of complaints simply because when I'm doing like custom rings, I'm really walking through like a very long discussion about, you know, what kind of like okay, so let me rewind a little bit. Guys, like when it comes to like picking designs, are very confused because you know, men don't usually have to pay attention to like women's fashion or like what kind of stuff they even like. They just like show up, right? So I asked him a lot of questions about like, you know, what kind of style does she wear like on a day-to-day basis? You know, how dressy is she? How flamboyant is she? Because I think women can say they want one thing, but then what they actually wear is another thing. So we sort of go through that spectrum of like, okay, what kind of stuff do you think she likes? Send me photos of maybe like her, right? So we sort of go through this discovery process to try and whittle down things so that they're not making like the complete wrong decision. Of course, there's this like roundabout feedback loop where we like talk to family and friends as well. Like, you know, if you are spending like $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 on a custom ring, it's good to get sort of like secondary confirmation from the mother-in-law or friends that she really does like this. But to your point about complaints, like I've interviewed lots of people, and actually there are women who tell me like, I told him to buy this and he bought that. And so I've had like the disaster stories of, so like there have been women who say, oh, I want like Morganite, which is like this very like in fashion gemstone. I want Morganite, I want it with this band. And then because the guys go into like the Ion Orchard shop and the salesperson is like, no, engagement means diamond ring, you have to buy a diamond ring. So then the guys go and like ignore the girl's actual advice and go and buy a diamond ring. So that one is like not my problem, that one is him making like that decision. But I always tell guys like, don't jump to the conclusion so quickly that this is what, you know what I mean, she wants. Anybody else like experience online? Sorry.
I just have a question. How often is it that couples come in together versus like just the couple coming in? Or
So, well, I don't have a physical store,
Okay.
but in terms of like just watching, I think it is a trend, like where more and more, like even more than half, I think, of the girls go in. Because of the situation I mentioned, right? Which is, oh my God, don't buy the wrong thing. But I've interviewed a lot of women and they really complain to me like it kills like the magic of it a little bit. Like women sort of want this magical situation where I don't tell him anything, but he got the perfect ring, right? So it's a little bit of like us trying to achieve that, right? I mean, every woman's like, I wanted to show up with my dream rings. Give me stuff I didn't even know I wanted, right? But I think a lot of Singaporean guys are like very practical in the sense of like, can you just tell me what you want? But then I get a lot of like disappointed feedback from women like, fine, I told him what I wanted, but I wish I didn't have to like hold his hand. It's just
Hey,
one thing.
you wanted a surprise, right? Like,
Yeah, I
give
mean,
you a
Mike, how did
surprise.
you get your
Okay,
engagement?
no, it's sorry for
Okay,
another day.
sorry for another day. Yeah.
Like, you say that you have two different brands right now,
Yeah,
right? Like, one
yeah.
is an engagement brand and
Yeah.
another is for women. Like, why did you separate like these two brands? Is there like a specific
Yeah.
rationale?
Yeah. So the difference between the two is one is actually like a bespoke business that focuses on engagement rings, but also does like other high-end customized stuff. So I think it's a price difference because, like I said, a pair of earrings with my custom business is like $20,000 to $30,000. Whereas for me, August, one of the reasons why I wanted to be like a women-focused brand is also like affordability. So like I said, like not every woman wants to spend $30K, but they are willing to spend like $1,000, like to wear something to work every day. So it's sort of like simplicity and affordability and like classic jewelry that every woman can wear. So it's a more mass market brand, I guess, versus like the custom business, which is like super bespoke. I will walk you through everything, as opposed to this, which is like go to my website, check out if there's anything you want. You can tell me what color of gold you like, and then I will make it for you. So the customization is a lot different, and therefore the price.
But it is still custom.
The women one? Actually, no, it's not custom. So if you guys, I'm building my website now. It's like called augustfinejewelry.com, so you can just see. It's just, stuff that is $800 to like $1,000. It's sort of classic stuff that you would want to wear all the time. That is something that I'm trying to scale, right? Because this one is about, like when I was doing beta testing, I just like decided on one design and I sent it to people and I sold like 10 in one day. So I was like, okay, there's obviously like a market of people who don't want to spend $30K, but they're working women, they have like their own money, they want to wear something nice. I don't know if you guys found the website, but. So yeah, level of customization, price, target market. Because this is like, engagement rings is like men, right? Whereas August is for women. Does that make sense?
No, the reason I asked that was because like why not just park that brand under the custom brand, so like people think that it's more like it's better service, it's better quality.
Because they don't want to pay for the service. Yeah, you want a really great diamond. Like if you look at my website, there's like one single diamond that you can wear on a rose gold band, a rose gold chain. You don't need customization for that, right? You care about price and you care about beauty, and you care that other people buy it, so it's real. But
and the converse is also true, right? You don't want to provide that service. At that
too,
price point.
Yeah, because it's not sustainable, right? Because if you're spending $30K with me, I got all the time in the world like to spend with you, but if not, then it's not sustainable, yeah.
And I think we talked about this in the earlier part of the class. Like there are the scalability of services is actually not possible because it's very tied to time, and that's like your first venture, right? And then if you think about your second venture, actually you're not selling service as much, you're selling more of a product.
You mean the second one?
The second one,
yes, absolutely.
Right? Selling more of a product, and that's a lot more scalable.
Product and branding, actually, that's so on that side, like the reason why I focus on independent women and buying jewelry for yourself is because that is sort of the brand related to that product. Like the bespoke stuff, I think people care less about the brand and more about like, do I trust you? How good are your diamonds? Like, what's your service like? And stuff like that. So it's sort of like competing on different aspects of the business.
I think we had other questions.
No, but I was gonna ask the guys like who went online. What were your experiences like? Sorry, did you have a question?
I'm just curious, like how do you differentiate your bespoke jewelry business from another bespoke jewelry business?
I think,
Also uses personalization.
Yeah.
And care for customers.
Yeah. I think that's what all businesses say. Like, how do you differentiate a restaurant from a restaurant, right? I rely a lot on word of mouth, actually, just because that counts more than any kind of branding. And that's why that business, I think, is slower growing, not in terms of revenue, but just in terms of like new customers. But it has to be like service and trust. I don't know what else to tell you, but and being able to find stuff other people don't take the time to find. So like bespoke jewelers is also like small and large, right? Like because I'm so small, I really have a lot of time to spend with you going through like different options and stuff like that. You'd be surprised, like even the other bespoke guys will ask you like, how much money do you want to spend? Which is the thing that I absolutely never do. Right, sort of we discover that slowly over time. Because what you think you want to spend, then you realize, oh, I want to spend like $2,000 on a ring. They don't realize like $2,000 is like not going to get you anything, right? So we have to like calibrate and like learn together and then have them understand where the money is going, like why they are paying the price that they are paying. Because if I ask a guy off the street who's never looked at diamond rings, he will tell me $500, like $800. I'm like, you are so far away, right, from from the actual price. Save up, guys. Okay.
Would like your suppliers have an impact on your business as well? Like to Andrew's question.
I think I spent a lot of time building industry contacts, like basically knowing people who own mines. So for me, I focus on like getting as close to the source as possible. So a lot of my diamonds, especially the big ones for engagement, come from a particular mine in Russia that like happens to cut it a certain way. Whereas like, let's say the diamonds coming out of India, they cut to like save weight. So they give up on certain aesthetic beauty of the diamond in order to like keep the carat weight so that they can charge you, right? So diamonds are charged by like, if you're 1 carat versus 1.2 carats versus 1.5, the price can go up a lot. So in India, they focus on, oh, we got the rough diamond in this particular shape. We're gonna try to make it as big as possible, like as heavy as possible in order to charge. But that maintaining weight doesn't mean that the final cutting of the diamond, the proportions of it are as perfect as it could be. So my diamonds cut in Russia, they cut it for like precision and for beauty. So even if it's like a 1 carat versus a 1.1 or something from an Indian diamond, mine might look better. So there is like a functional difference, yeah.
Okay.
Other experiences, guys, and then I'll go to girls.
I know.
Yep.
Yeah, I found it was actually difficult. I
Okay.
sent a screenshot of your class to my girlfriend.
Yep.
And yeah, thank you. It was good to talk about that. It was
Yeah, we gave them an excuse, right?
Wow, I really need to pray now. Like each time I send this assignment out, I never knew it would be taken.
it was
That
a good excuse to like
Oh.
address this issue.
wonderful.
No,
Okay.
but it was interesting because like she said she wants fair trade, like no blood.
Yep.
But then it was immediately like more difficult because then I said like, what about the size?
Yeah.
I don't know. She's like, yeah, don't mind about that, blah blah blah. And I immediately thought, yeah, she's joking because size does matter.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like a psychological problem.
Uh-huh.
Even if she tells me, yeah, you don't need to spend that much, I would think, yeah, but it needs to be bigger than the one of my best buddy. So,
Okay.
I don't know. Probably it's like not only what the retailer or the seller tells you,
Yeah.
but only what your personal perception about the ideal ring.
Oh.
Then she was like, yeah, it should be special, like not, it should be unique. But how do you make it unique?
Yeah.
What does she mean by that?
What did you think she meant? Did she tell you, or you're trying to guess?
No, I was like, yeah, but I mean, yeah, unique is good. Should I like personalize it or should I like design it by my own? And she was like, hey, you need to come up with something.
So yeah, so it's like vague instructions, right? I want it special, but figure it out. Yeah, okay. So where did you look, like online?
Yeah, like it was called Brand for Jewelry. Like they guarantee that there is no blood diamond. They, like support.
Brilliant Earth? Is it
Yeah,
Brilliant
I
Earth?
think it's
Brilliant Earth is the name of the
It's
company.
called-
Yeah. Yeah, so that is like their brand positioning. They say like beyond conflict free, which, yeah. I mean, just so you guys know, I'm sure you read a lot about like conflict diamonds and stuff like that, but realistically in the industry, because everybody in the diamond industry knows that people are freaked out about it, pretty much like any kind of diamond that was related to any kind of conflict doesn't enter the market. Like even if you guys tried, you couldn't get conflict diamonds. So it's just a brand positioning thing that their supply is the same as like my supply and the same as probably like Blue Nile, if any of you guys went on Blue Nile. But yeah.
Yeah, so I just like entered the website and designed a ring. I thought
Okay.
0.8 is not enough, 1 is not enough, so I like opted for 1.5.
Okay.
And yeah, like personal decoration,
Yep.
like engrave some
Yep.
like not obvious stuff, but things that would relate us.
Okay. Like personal, like inside stuff. Okay. Oh, so you went through the online process. Did you guys try the build a ring thing where you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. And how was it for you?
Yeah, she liked it in the end.
Oh, okay.
So, like,
Oh, good job. Oh, okay, so you actually showed it to her at the end. You were like,
yeah,
what about this?
So what do you think?
Oh, okay. Wow. A star. Good job. Okay.
Okay. But this is, I mean, there's an interesting undertone here, right? Where like beyond the brand promise usually
Yeah.
that comes with rings, there's like the blood diamond aspect or the environmental aspect.
Yeah.
I think there was one, I think it was your group as well that talked about like each ring, how many bamboos are being planted, right? So
Yeah.
there are a lot of,
Yes.
I guess, secondary associations with a brand that are popping
Yes,
up.
yes.
And as with yourself as well, that women empowerment.
So women
aspect.
empowerment, that comes with the second brand, right? That's not like
Jewelry
with the
part.
that comes with the more like mass to middle like brand.
Okay.
I think with my bespoke business, for the guys, it's about how big of a diamond I can get with, like how much value can I get out of this. I think it's quite a value-driven thing. Because if you didn't care about value, you would go to like Graf, which is like the most expensive, right? Donald Trump bought his ring from Graf Diamonds and just like throw $1 million away and like enjoy.
But
the
I would
size
say
of it.
it's value and customization, right? Because can I say like you are cheaper than an off-the-shelf apple-to-apple diamond?
Yeah, because my costs are lower, right? So when you guys go into shopping malls, now that you've looked into jewelry a little bit, start to notice that all the jewelry shops are always in the places with the highest foot traffic, like first floor, right, exactly where people come in and out. So a huge like portion of what you pay for in the jewelry shop is paying for their rent, paying for their marketing, paying for their salaries, which in my case, I don't have a physical shop, right? So that's something that like in terms of cost, like saves you a lot. But yeah, so it's a combination of not just like price, but the fact that they have somebody to walk them through the process for that price.
Got it.
If that makes sense, yeah.
Okay.
Any other impressions, guys, from like sort of shopping online? I think these guys have talked, but how about you guys? Do you look online? You looked online, right?
I didn't try to buy it all.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But what was your impression, like just from looking online?
I just look for pictures on Google.
Okay. Oh, like Google image search?
Google.
Okay. So if you had to pick one, how did you like pick?
No idea.
You had no idea. So you were like, would you say you feel lost? You're just like, if you had to pick, you'd be like,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. How about you?
I have a girlfriend, so I was just thinking about what would she like.
Okay.
I have some thoughts and just use the Google image to.
Okay, so like Google image, and then you try to just like scroll, like, oh, this is nice.
I like first I googled like minimalistic engagement ring
Yep.
because I know that she likes like minimalistic Scandinavian
Uh-huh.
designs.
Okay.
And I did some Google searching, and I also found this one engagement ring which was made of like recycled
Metal.
gold. Yeah.
Yep, mhm.
Yeah, and she values like nature and recycling.
Okay.
So it was minimalistic, and it has this like story behind it.
Okay.
Like it was made from recycled gold, so I thought that it would be great for
Do you
her.
remember the brand?
I know.
Okay, got it. See, so that's another interesting thing, right? So you guys are seeing, as men are shopping, they're thinking about story, they're thinking about price, where they buy from. I mean, unless you're like in the Tiffany category, like brand matters a little bit less. How about you?
Also find it pretty difficult, but just basically looking at something that I liked and was affordable. So.
Affordable? Okay. 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 Yeah. Would you say price is your biggest like
It's
factor?
not the biggest, but of course it matters.
Okay.
I can buy it from Tiffany.
Yeah.
Those goods. Has to be realistic.
Okay.
Yep.
Girls, where did you go? You guys were like supposed to like look at what you wanted, right? So where did you guys find the stuff you wanted? What's her name? Michelle. Come.
Michelle.
You
yes.
smiling, so did you find your dream ring?
Oh, very indecisive person.
Indecisive, okay.
So when
That makes it difficult.
When I scroll through, I was like, oh my god, this is nice. Oh my god, that's nice. So
Yeah.
Everything just looks nice. Yeah, nice.
Okay. Was there something specific that you found out, oh, I kind of like this after you look at a lot of them? Or you like completely different designs?
I guess like there's specific times that you will like
Okay.
as an individual.
Okay.
Like, it varies, but like for example for me, I like a certain band design.
Band design, okay.
So whatever that varies around like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
How important is diamond size? Was it a diamond ring or not a diamond ring?
Diamonds are not important.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so what ring did, which one?
I feel like the design is more important.
The design is more important, okay.
Personally.
So you weren't looking at diamond rings?
It's
What was the center stone that you like?
I like moonstones.
Moonstones. Ah, okay. So, okay, that's unique. Interesting.
It's very functional for me to keep carrying a
diamond ring, yeah.
I'll always spoil it.
Yep.
Huh.
Interesting. Anybody else? How did you guys find the rings that you liked? What's your name? What's the girl's name in the back? I don't have name tag. Huh?
Just based on price, because
Wow.
like I was thinking like wedding band would be the simple one because you have to wear every day. But
Yeah.
then the engagement ring I want the most expensive.
Wow.
As in, you said I want the most expensive. That was what you think. Okay, so where did you look? This. Huh?
I go to like Go Hard or something. I go to like 3 different websites.
Okay.
Then I just put the filter and scroll high to low.
Oh my god! Wow! That's the first time. Okay. So what was the most expensive ring you found?
I think like if the original price was 40K, but then now the price 13K.
Oh wow.
So I thought like if anything, I wrote in the email to like found like if like the marriage ends up like as a divorce.
Then you get to keep the ring. Oh my god! Okay. That's interesting. What brand was that from? Do you remember? So So how did you pick the 3 brands that you?
Oh no, I just googled.
Oh, Googled the first 3. Is that really what? I mean, are you doing this as a class exercise, or you would really want that ring?
As in, I think that would be one of my criteria. But then like after that I was thinking like if I'm gonna marry the guy, then his money will become my money. So maybe he shouldn't spend money.
Oh my god, so funny. Okay. So you're like torn. Okay, that's interesting.
That was the first few emails I read on the Chinese New Year, and I burst out laughing.
She's like, what are they? Okay, who else had interesting?
Well, no, I think so. The simplicity and minimalistic design caught me by surprise.
Oh, okay.
So
How many
it was
people mentioned that?
10
Yeah,
people mentioned.
okay,
that,
okay.
Yeah. And brand, which I thought would have been key,
Yeah.
wasn't featured as much.
Interesting.
So that was what was interesting. But I think like Daniel's email was quite interesting too, because it had a different slant to it, like the environmental
Yeah.
aspect to it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Any other girls? Ihan, where did you find your ring?
I found mine from Tiffany & Co. So
Okay.
actually I did not find it based on a brand. So I wanted something that signifies love and like a reminder for me to like wear it daily. So
Okay.
I wanted something that's like a heart-shaped cut.
Okay.
So I could find like heart-shaped cut diamond ring. So the first one that popped up was Tiffany & Co.
Okay.
Which has really nice diamond ring. So I was
Yeah.
asking my boyfriend, is the one with the diamonds beside or without the diamonds beside
Yeah.
nicer? Then he's like, oh, the one without. So I think it's
Worry about money, girl. Yeah.
This was like, his concern was the budget, but for
Yeah.
me it was more of the design, whether which one is nicer and which one is more wearable.
Yeah.
So I didn't want something that's very huge, like eye-catching, so it's just something simple that I can wear it daily. Interesting.
Okay, so you actually knew that you wanted like a heart-shaped stone. So yeah. So that narrows it down quite a lot, because heart-shaped stones are quite difficult to find nice ones.
It's
Interesting.
really expensive, right? Because you need
Heart-
to cut like.
So the thing with like heart-shaped diamonds is like they are like fat hearts and they are skinnier hearts. So what they do is they're trying to maximize like the diamond they can get out of the rough, right?
Yeah.
So obviously like the nicely, I mean it depends. Some people like fatter, some people like skinnier. But if you have sort of like the ideal proportion, they probably had to sort of lose a lot of diamond weight in order to get that cut that you like. So yeah, it tends to be expensive. So anything outside of round gets. Basically, round is like the most expensive because it's like the most brilliant diamond. But as you go into other shapes, sometimes it can be cheaper, but sometimes it can be more expensive. So like emerald cut diamonds, they are like step cut diamonds, right? So they don't have sort of like the brilliance of the faceting to distract you from the clarity. Because when you see an emerald cut diamond, you see all the way through. So you have to like buy higher clarity. So that one can get like a bit more expensive.
Okay.
But that's interesting that you like a specific shape.
How do you see your ventures growing though? Like is it more repeatable purchases? Because engagement rings is very like it's not repeatable purchase.
Yeah, so
right?
so that's one of the things, right? As I'm doing this bespoke business, I realized like that I started out thinking like guys are gonna be a big like the majority of my business. And they still give me business, obviously because it's a need, right? But I found that women then, like the women who are like 50, they've had kids, they have money, they're the ones who are like, I've got all this money, what do I do with it? And they're the people who become my repeat customers, actually. So I think engagement rings are like the bread and butter of the bespoke business, simply because guys just need to buy it and it's just like the process. But I think in terms of the people who, the customer retention side of it, I think women are like much better in that sense. I've seen a lot more success with women, right? Because men buy it and they like never want to deal with it again, unless it comes around to anniversary. So I've had men come to me for like 30th anniversary, 40th anniversary, then they spend a ton of money, right? But in terms of repetition, I think that's, women are more into, oh, show me what you have. Like, so I'm more proactive with the women on my like customer call sheet, right? Because women are like opportunistic buyers. So if there's like a deal, they start looking at stuff. They're like, I don't necessarily need earrings, but since these seem to be like really good value right now, I'm gonna think about it.
Is there a reason for like the spin-off? Like you could channel your customers in the bespoke?
Well, the reason for the spin-off is actually to address a completely different market, right? People that don't spend $30,000. And also to solve my customer service issue, which is like the amount of time it takes to generate this versus like being able to scale this business.
But for the repeatable business, right? Wouldn't they come down to the different segment?
They want really big, expensive things.
Oh,
like
still?
yeah.
Okay.
Because to them, like $800, like once you start getting into jewelry, $800 is like nothing. Right, so people who spend $30K are not looking at the $1,000. People who look at the $1,000 thing are not looking at the. So in a way, it's like two entirely different segments. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they might buy it as like presents for their like nieces and stuff like that, but yeah, two different markets.
Oh, wow. So I think this is one industry where the customer segments are clearly delineated, right? Like they won't overlap.
I think what I'm hoping for is to get the people to buy, let's say the people who are buying my stuff on August are probably doing it for the first time. They've never moved from costume jewelry, which is all your $5 like stuff on Orchard Road, into buying stuff with solid gold and authentic diamonds, right? So transitioning women from costume to fine jewelry is the goal of August. And in the long term, people who go from August and start to make more money can potentially go this way, right? But those brands are unrelated because like women empowerment and people who want to just throw a lot of money at fancy things are a little bit of a different market. But yes, the goal at some point would be to transition these people. It might take time, like it's like a 10-year cycle before they move on to this, right?
Okay.
But yeah, I think once women get into fine jewelry, once you start buying stuff with real gold and diamonds, it's very hard to like rewind and go back, because then your expectation is, oh, this is real, like I only want real things now. And then like I've seen a lot of women, they get into diamonds, then they get into gemstones, and then they graduate from there, right?
Okay. Other questions?
Yes.
Yes, Celine.
To ask, like, how customizable is your bespoke business? Like, is it just specific ring and the band, or like?
I mean, it's customizable like to whatever degree you want, right? If you want like funky, well, as long as it's structurally possible, we can make it. If you try one like something floating and like, it doesn't hold the diamond, then that's a different issue. But
first, like the ring I did for this project thing is it's like a Disney theme ring.
Okay.
It was like Rapunzel inspired. Then there's like gold leaves around the band. It's not like her hair.
Whoa. You found out Disney, is that a Disney?
It's actually
Japanese brand, is it?
It's called Zale.
Oh, that's a US brand, yeah.
Yeah, then they have like Disney themed rings.
Okay. So you're saying if you were my customer and you showed me that photo, can I make it? Yeah, because what we do is we actually 3D models, like very, very complicated ones. We 3D model them using like CAD programs, is like what engineers do to build 3D models. And then we like in a way print out the wax. So there's this whole process, but it can be done. Basically, to answer your question, it can be done. Yeah.
But it sounds like the most intricate customization is the band itself, right?
Yeah.
Like the gemstone wouldn't
No,
be,
you don't
like,
do
can't,
anything
right?
to the diamond, yeah. It's just about how you set it in a creative way and what you surround it with. But interestingly, like the trend now is towards very minimalistic stuff. So that's why I'm not so surprised by simplicity, because I get that quite a lot.
Okay.
Because I think women these days don't want it to be like, they want it big, but they don't want like over the top in a, yeah.
But it's actually minimalistic, that's why it looks even bigger than it.
There you go.
Right?
Right? My advice as like a jeweler is spend your money on the gemstone. Like, don't spend your money on like the funky stuff because that's gonna go out of fashion. So I believe a lot in like really classic things that women will be happy to wear forever. Because you know, like the girls, we always go through like different. We like jeans jackets, then we like something Burberry, then we move on to different things. But if a diamond ring is something you want to wear forever, right, you have to sort of go super classic. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, actually it got me a bit excited about like you're able to customize
Yep.
the things. When I was sharing my ideas, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I have like really quite some crazy ideas.
Yeah.
But then the possibility that it's possible makes me excited. So
Yeah.
I just ask,
Yes.
is it possible to like, because I like really, really cheesy stuff. Like,
Yeah.
like maybe the material is like some like leaf that we found and the essence is infused inside or something. But the part that really matters is like I'm a very smells kind of person. I was wondering, can you like you know some
Lava stones, right?
Smells inside. Like, is that possible?
So I've actually was talking to somebody about this. Like, there are certain kinds of lava stones that do really good job retaining smell. So you drop like essential oils on it, and you can like keep it for a long time. So I mean, if you want a lava stone ring, that's something that you should think about.
What's a lava stone ring?
I think it's from lava, as in just like lava rock that actually like absorbs the essential oils and it dissipates like slowly over time, and then you drop it again and then it smells again. But would you think about that for your engagement ring or as like a fun piece of jewelry to wear? You would like to?
I think engagement ring, because at least it's a talking point. I think I'm a practical person in the sense that I don't. If I imagine myself wearing it very often, like, I don't want it to be too thick. Like I need it to do work, and I'm already afraid of scratching people. Because the first I wore a ring and I scratched someone, like I scratched someone, like there was blood. So I was just like, wow.
Okay. So no, well, actually, diamonds are like the hardest material, right? On the hardness scale, it's like a 9, right? So people always tell me, oh, I'm gonna like scratch the diamond. I'm like, well, well, it's very hard to scratch a diamond, is my point, unless you use another diamond to scratch that diamond. But so I can see how you scratch someone else. But that's probably the design of it. They didn't think about the practical functionality of it, right? Because there are some designs that are very like jutting out. So functionally, you worry about, you put on a dress, you're gonna tear something. So they didn't think about that aspect of it, right? Which is important. But yeah, that's interesting. Thank you.
Cool. Maybe the last question is really?
So I don't know how it works in the jewelry business, but if you have a similar style to another company, do you like get sued or anything like that? Like, do you have to worry about copying other people's styles?
Yeah, so I think if you're like a functioning brand, so if you're like, well, the thing is, if you guys started looking, you saw a lot of Tiffany style engagement rings. Did you guys see that term a lot? So a lot of other brands make stuff or make things that are quite close to Tiffany's, but where they come into, or where they can get in trouble is if they copy the exact thing. But functionally, like, just to give you insider behind the scenes, I think a lot of bespoke jewelers, they copy stuff, but because they don't put it in their storefront and you don't put it online, you don't get in trouble. But I mean, I stay away from that drama, right? But people do ask me for, when they say Tiffany style engagement rings, usually they mean like a solitaire ring, like just a diamond and a band and nothing too complicated. But yeah, if you are a big brand, if you are a Cartier, for example, they cannot copy Tiffany's exact style, like the exact measurements and stuff like that, then they get in trouble. But if they say Tiffany style, right, then you're like, okay, well, it's an interpretation of something, so they can't get you for that. But Tiffany has sued companies that put, if you don't put Tiffany style and you put Tiffany engagement ring, they'll sue you. Yes.
All right. Any last questions? No?
Yes.
Okay, yes, Ning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like for a bespoke business, right?
Yeah.
How scalable is it? Because you said that your cost is very low.
It's not scalable, right? If you guys think about it, how personalized is my service? Right, I'm like on WhatsApp with them, they ask me questions at midnight, I'm answering, which to them is perfect because you can't really talk to your Tiffany salesperson at 1 a.m. in the morning, right? But it's not scalable, which is precisely why like I'm starting this more affordable diamond jewelry for women, because the repeatable business is a lot higher as well. Like the retention is a lot higher, the price point is a lot more accessible, and if they're just buying online, it's more about fulfilling the order, right? Yes, customization is not scalable. Which is why I have to maximize like revenue per transaction, right? For the time.
That's right. It's only scalable with time, and if you hire more people.
Yep. Yeah, but then after that, they may not give the same service that I can, right? So then it's like a service quality issue.
How do you start a business like that? Because I imagine like starting from the scratch, getting the right diamonds must be very difficult. Where do you get the necessary information?
So I started like studying for my GIA certificate, like stuff like that. So I have a certificate in diamonds. I started going to a lot of industry shows. So part of what part of what motivated me a lot was like going to my first diamond show. I realized that, you know, most of the jewelry industry is catered towards women, right? Obviously there are men's jewelry, but vast majority of it is selling to women. But most of the people in the jewelry industry are all men. So for me, it's like, I need to like do this. I'm the only woman buying diamonds. I'm the only person like my age at these diamond shows, right? So it's just a matter of like knocking on doors, like showing up, learning about different diamond cutters, like just starting from scratch. Like anybody can start. You guys could get into the jewelry industry if you wanted to, yeah.
Is supply that big when you say like, I thought getting the right diamonds is very difficult. How can you compete with all the big brands?
In terms of supply, you mean?
Yeah, I mean like the nicest diamonds for a good price, everybody wants them, right? How can you stand out and get them?
How can I buy them from the right supplier, you mean? Show up with money and they'll sell it to you. They don't care, right? I mean, as in... No, you just have to know where to find it. So that's what I spent a lot of time doing, right? Trying to be like, okay, who are the big cutters in Belgium who sell like 5 carats and above, or who specializes in emeralds, or who focuses on this particular gemstone. That's the work that I have to do, which is like lots of figuring out who sells what, who does better in this thing versus that, and trying to get as close to the source as possible. That's a big way that like I can bring value to my customers, right?
It reduces your cost.
It reduces my cost, and I think for me, like I care a lot about the story behind a piece of jewelry. So recently I made like a morganite ring for somebody. And instead of like buying a morganite that was already cut, we bought the rough and I got a cutter to cut it. So the woman who was getting the ring actually got a photo of the guy, the stone before and the stone after, and a photo of Gernot who cut the stone. So there's a little bit of a story. This is somebody who's been doing it for 30 years. So when you get a gemstone ring, like there's a lot more meaning behind that. But that's something that I can do that like big companies don't have time to do.
All right, cool. Thank you. Thank you for your patience.
Thanks,
and thank you,
guys.
Amanda.
Thank you.
She's under the weather, as with most people after Chinese New Year, but she's kindly come down. So thank you. Thanks, Amanda.
Yes,
thank you.